When was the last time you watched a show that genuinely blew you away? I'm not talking about something that you just liked or thought that that one part or character was cool. I mean something that completely impressed you and made you think, how have I not seen this earlier? And how is this not talked about more? Those types of shows don't come around often. For me, there's generally 4 tiers of TV shows. You have the 4th tier, which is pretty much your CWs and Hallmarks. Shot boringly, acted just fine, with pretty generic and forgettable stories. There will never be an interesting shot or too surprising of a moment. And for some reason, they always have the exposure turned up a few notches. You can tell effort was put in, actors are on screen, there's a script with words on it. The 3rd tier is where the vast majority of shows fall. These are your comfort foods, your easy watches. Something like How I Met Your Mother, Always Sunny, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Your sitcoms, your Ramseys.
How was your soup?
That's the wedding soup? Jesus, I'd rather get divorced.
Oh my God.
There might be some standout episodes or interesting plot developments, but for the most part, you know exactly what you're gonna get when you sit down. Even The Office could be included here, but that series is written incredibly well, and people will watch it until the world ends, so maybe it has a different spot for you. The 2nd tier is where the above average series lie. Shows that look unique, are tightly edited, and offer something that stands out from the pack. Shows like The Bear, The Handmaid's Tale, Severance, and The Pitt. A more premium feel than the 3rd tier. Your streaming shows. While they may not always perfectly stick the landing, you can assume that for the most part, they'll give you something unique. And then you have the 1st tier, the true one-of-a-kinds, the best of the best. They do something that can't be recreated. And generally, the same shows get brought up in this category. Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, The Wire, the big ones. But there's one show that I rarely see mentioned, something that more than deserves a spot in this tier, and stay with me on this, has the best ending to any show I've ever seen. Period.
Are you freaking out? Tell me the truth. Were you in on this the whole time?
Were you?
If someone told me that Mr. Robot came out this year, I would believe them. It quickly engaged me more than any other series I've watched this year, and it doesn't show its age at all. I think there's a stigma to older TV shows, and I kind of get it. Things have sped up a bit, because if it's old, chances are it'll be boring compared to modern day streaming. If there's ever been a show that's made me eat my own words and rethink this bias so hard, it's this one. It does not feel old in the slightest. It's different from everything else on TV right now. It has editing and sequences that feel modern. I'm probably like a lot of you. I had vaguely heard of the show Mr. Robot, but nothing about it really pulled me in. I knew that it had a passionate audience and that people seemed to really like it, but when I saw the posters of Rami Malek in a hoodie, I didn't feel the need to watch it. What a mistake that was. Here's the elevator pitch. Rami Malek plays Elliot, a cybersecurity engineer by day and vigilante hacker by night. Think Dexter, but instead of tying people to tables and chopping them up, he sends their hard drive to the police. That's how the show starts, at least. But almost immediately, you can tell something else is going on behind the scenes. Something odd. There are clues hidden in every single episode, hinting at some secret you couldn't possibly guess. One of the things that's apparent from the very first episode is how it's filmed. I don't know about you, but I'm kinda sick of the samey looking TV shows we get these days. Clean, bright, almost plastic looking. Like, the new show Dexter Resurrection was good. It had some funny and interesting plot beats, and I will watch Michael C. Hall play Dexter as long as I'm alive. But coming off of Mr. Robot, like, man, does this all just look flat. A big part of the reason it's aged so well is because of the slightly off-putting style, the way Elliot is framed in the corner of shots. I'm sure there's more intelligent ways to phrase this, but it's just got that vibe, you know? That X factor. It immediately stood out from everything else on. You know how 99% of shows don't break the fourth wall? Sure, maybe Jim will look at the camera, or Dexter will give some voiceover to give insight to his thoughts. But when is the last time you've watched something and become a character in it yourself, as the viewer?
Hello, friend. That's lame. Maybe I should give you a name, but that's a slippery slope. You're only in my head. We have to remember that.
Perhaps my favorite thing about the show is the lack of a fourth wall entirely. The audience is a character. You have a role to play in the story. I swear to God, you as the viewer have an actual character arc. It's fucking insane. Elliot will ask you for help. He will get mad at you. He will question your trust while lying to your face. It's so fresh, so unique, It honestly kind of ruined other shows for me for a while. Some of my favorite moments are when Elliot is talking directly to you, looking at the camera. His mouth isn't moving, you're in his head. You can't talk back. He knows this. He questions why you can't talk back. He questions who you even are.
You're not buying any of this either, are you?
It isn't some gimmick either, or some writing exercise. It's a central plot point throughout all 4 seasons. As I said earlier, well, trust me when I say you are a main character, and you'll need to watch until the end to see your full arc. Speaking of Elliot, I'd be remiss to go any further without bringing up Rami Malek's performance. You know when you see someone in a role and just immediately you're like, yep, that's them. The line between acting and character becomes very thin. Steve Carell as Michael Scott, or Bryan Cranston as Walter White. It's the type of performance and casting that fits so perfectly, it becomes hard to see him as anything else afterwards. There's not a single scene of the entire show where I wasn't fully convinced of what he was feeling. It's an all-timer performance. I'd go as far as to say it's one of the best performances in TV history, more than deserving of a spot alongside the greats. A lot of the series revolves around Elliot's hacking ability with computers. That's kind of his thing, his superpower, if you will. As a single guy making YouTube videos who is chronically online, this speaks to me. And because it's shown so much, I'm so happy that it's done faithfully. The series realistically portrays hacking more accurately than 99% of other media I've seen. We all know the ones, one where the hacker character sits down in front of a keyboard and mashes random keys and talks about how they're breaking into the mainframe, or uploading the virus to bypass the firewall, while a bunch of random ass numbers and objects appear on their screen.
Only about 6 people in the world could program safeguards like that.
Of course there are. Can you get past them?
I invented them.
Just boring stuff that doesn't really mean anything. And sure, I have a YouTuber and video editor's knowledge of computers. I'm by no means a coder or anything close, but I can appreciate the attention to detail. There's a scene where Elliot grabs the screen of a security guard's thumbprint during a heist. After placing that film in a scanner, he saves the file as a JPEG on a computer and uploads it into Photoshop. He then creates a 3D extrusion layer and uploads the file into Blender to make a 3-dimensional object, which he can then print to use on the fingerprint scanner. Like, how fucking cool is that? None of this is hidden from the viewer. It's all shown. Isn't that so much more creative and engaging than some CG green screen of some random Matrix text? The entire show is done like this. Everything from 2-factor authentications to phishing scams. And you don't have to know the first thing about hacking or even be that tech savvy to become invested in the show's plot or characters. It's how Elliot interfaces with the world, but it's not required reading. It's simply icing on the cake. I've been praising the show for a while now. Unfortunately, I do think the first season is the weakest out of the entire show. Not that it's bad, it is good and sets up a lot, but in comparison to the rest of the show, I could definitely see why someone would think it's the weakest. Most of the first season is spent around a mystery concerning another character, something I thought I had seen done before and felt like I already knew the answer to. But you know what happened next? They answered my question, but not in the way I expected. They didn't drag it out, and I was right, but only kind of. And then I had 2 more questions. That's the beauty of the show, put as succinctly as possible. When you think you know, you don't. Halfway around season 2 is where things really start to hit their stride for me, and it only gets better from there. If you've seen the second season, you know what I'm talking about. Prior to that, there had been some weird writing choices. At least, I thought so at the time. Kind of like how a show can start really strong, but then the characters start to make decisions that don't seem consistent or are just plain stupid. I kind of wrote it off, in the same way I do for most modern shows. But at that point in season 2, something happened that directly addressed all of my concerns and gave everything a new perspective. At that moment, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm in for the ride now. Look, I'm not telling you to watch 60 episodes of an anime here before the animation improves and it suddenly gets better. No, Mr. Robot is good from the very beginning. The style and presentation is felt from the first episode. It rewards your investment, the same way Breaking Bad does. The more you watch, the better it gets. Because things are fed to you so slowly, the first season in hindsight can feel a bit slow compared to the others. As far as I'm concerned, seasons 3 and 4 are pretty much perfect, with the last 5 episodes of the entire show containing some of the best reveals and stunning moments ever put to screen. Because fuck, once the show gets going, it does not stop. Up until the final minute of the final episode. That's not an exaggeration. We remember the shows we watch from their big moments. We remember when Walt was laughing in the crawl space. We remember when Ned Stark lost his head. Are there some dialogue scenes that might feel a bit clunky, especially in the earlier season? Sure. Do they say the words Dark Army one too many times? Definitely. But I don't look back on the show and think of any minor nitpicks. I remember the moments. For all of you who are still here who have finished the show and still think about it like I do, You've probably been waiting for this point. If you don't want spoilers, now is your warning. Seriously. It was so cool for me to stumble into something that immediately felt this unique. The last thing I wanted to do was look up anything about it online. The show's own YouTube channel has posted clips of some of the biggest spoilers. Trust me. If you think you might have any interest in watching it for yourself, don't rob yourself of the experience. It's on Netflix right now. Go click off and watch it. I won't be mad. Now let's talk spoilers, and let's talk about that ending.
It began as a failure. Everything. My existence. I should recognize that. Accept it.
You know when you beat a video game for the first time and are given the option of a new game plus, the opportunity to play the entire game over again with all of the gear and knowledge you previously acquired, giving you an effectively different experience while the world remains the same. That's Mr. Robot. Upon watching the last 15 minutes of the entire show, suddenly the veil is lifted and every single scene beforehand is recontextualized. Everything clicks into place. We were never watching Elliot's journey. Our Elliot was never Elliot at all. That's the personality we've been following for the past 4 seasons, the mastermind. And even us, the viewers, are just another personality, the voyeurs, silently watching, all in Elliot's head.
I know all about them too.
Odd conversations from season 1 suddenly make sense. Of course Angela would say Elliot hasn't been acting the same for months. He's not Elliot. But most importantly, everything in the show still happened. It wasn't all just a dream or in his head, even if we were. They pulled off a twist ending to a 4-season TV show that I didn't see coming. It takes the concept of having a dead person in a character's head and dials it up to 11. Fuck that, it dials it up to 9,000. In season 1, I was sure I had the show figured out. How many times have we seen this before? A protagonist haunted by a ghost of their relative who only they can see. It doesn't take long for us to learn that Mr. Robot himself, Elliot's father, is dead and has been for quite a while. But then it goes a step further. He's part of Elliot. He is Elliot. They're one and the same. And as his watchers, we're not always sure who's in control. I love the way this is played around within the first season specifically when we're unsure of the dynamic. It's filmed in clever ways made to trick you. You know how in The Sixth Sense, because Bruce Willis was dead the whole time, he never really interacts with anything or moves any object on screen? It makes the movie worthy of a rewatch. In the first season of Mr. Robot, you can tell who's in control of Elliot by watching who the other characters are looking at. It's such a small detail that's so easy to overlook. It's just one of the other hundreds of little hints sprinkled throughout the entire show. Details are important in this show. 4E is the door for Elliot's apartment. Elliot, the host, who is sharing his apartment and body with 4 other personalities. When he's binging on Adderall in prison, we see a quick shot of 5 different Elliots walking from left to right in slightly different ways. It's his different personalities: the host, Mr. Robot, the mother, the mastermind, and the child. And us, watching from across the street. It's the main crux of the show, Elliot against himself, against us sometimes. And just when you think you've got everything figured out, how Elliot and his father's personality switch back and forth, the show subverts your expectations again in revealing the entire reason for Mr. Robot even existing in the first place, as is usually the case with Elliot's disorder, is childhood trauma, more specifically, the abuse done to him by his father. The type of abuse that I can't talk about without immediately getting demonetized. In the last 5 episodes of the show, their entire dynamic is flipped again. The whole reason for the existence of the titular character was to protect Elliot, to protect him from a monster with the same face. The series was originally written as a movie script, but as it got extended to 4 seasons, Sam Esmail, the creator, kept his cards close to his chest. He was never worried about how to wrap everything up in a satisfying way. From the very first episode, he knew how the series would end. Perhaps that's why it feels so different from most shows made. There's a very circular feeling to it. And as for us, the viewers, the voyeurs, we're told to let go. After all, we're just another part of him, preventing the host from regaining control. It's what's best for everyone, but as the mastermind tells us himself, we were the best part, because we're the part that cared enough to try and change the whole world. But maybe we don't have to change the world, because if we stand our ground long enough, the world will change around us. And like the greats often do, it ends on a climax.